give us the summary, please?
Sure. Let me talk about the latest results from the Quinnipiac University poll on the governor's race. The big winner in the governor's race is undecided. On the Democratic side, 44% of Democrats say they are undecided in terms of who they would vote for in a Democratic primary for governor. Ned Lamont would get 28%. Dan Malloy, 18%. No other Democrat tops 4%. Looking at the Republican side, undecided, big winner again with 50%. Tom Foley, beginning to break away from the pack, he gets 30%. No other Republican gets more than 4%.
Why do you don't know enough about any of these guys?
People just don't know enough about the candidates. Even Foley is largely unknown to Republicans. That's the big problem right now for the candidates, is that they are largely unknown, other than Ned Lamont. Although even Lamont, about half of Democrats say they don't know enough to form an opinion. So the way I would sum up the race right now is that the race for governor is wide open.
When you look, though, at the results with Lamont having, say, a 10-point lead over Malloy at this point, within that race, forget the undecideds, is that significant or not?
The 10-point lead? No, certainly Malloy is within striking distance. I would characterize it as Lamont and Malloy are the top two Democrats in the field right now.
And on the Republican side, I mean, they really are.
Now it's Tom Foley, but that's because of name recognition. I mean, his name recognition at this point has been fueled by his being on TV. He's the only candidate for governor up on TV right now.
On the Attorney General's race,
you found that despite the controversy surrounding Susan Weissowitz, she has eroded a little, but still tops the field. What did you find?
That's right. Her numbers have gone down a little, but she still has a huge lead in the Democratic primary for Attorney General. So the negative headlines perhaps have taken a little bit of a toll on her, but not much.
Did you ask if people had heard of the controversy?
No.
You did not. You just measured it.
In the Republican primary, no, his numbers are up. Yep.
So what do you?
So the Attorney General race still appears to be Susan Weissowitz is to lose.
Right, but I would also say again, we're talking about name recognition here. The other candidates simply aren't known. More than 80% of voters, they don't know enough to form an opinion about George Jepsen or Cameron Staples.
Why did people say they were opposed to Keno in restaurants and bars?
They didn't tell us why. All we know is that there is strong opposition to Keno. It's across the board among all partisan groups, both men and women. There's also opposition to having tolls on Connecticut state highways, although the opposition isn't as strong as it is to Keno. But there is support for having Sunday liquor sales. And again, across the board, we did find a little bit of a gender gap. Men are more supportive of Sunday liquor sales. They're also more opposed to having tolls.
You found that people are generally in favor of Sunday liquor sales, but they don't want grocery stores to sell liquor and beer and wine.
How do you explain that?
Just explain it.
You know what? I can't explain it. I'll leave that to you guys. I don't know why they support the Sunday liquor sales, but they oppose having supermarkets being able to sell hard liquor.
So voters are crazy. That's what you're saying.
No, I'm not.
They were all over the ballpark on the health care issue yesterday. They were even wackier on that. Were these people sober? When were you talking?
Can you tell me?
We didn't ask that. We didn't ask the sobriety test.
Were Tea Party supporters in favor of Sunday liquor sales?
Good. You know what? I did not look at that crosstab, Mark. Yeah.
I know that there's so many candidates in the race right now, so it's confusing people, but is it kind of unusual to not have a real front runner at this point?
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's, given that it's an open race without any real, big names, it's not that surprising. We also poll in Pennsylvania and there's an open seat there for governor, and they also have little-known candidates running for governor, and we're seeing huge undecideds on the Democratic side. So when you have, little-known candidates, it's not surprising. I mean, what will be interesting to see over the coming months is that whether or not any of these dark horse candidates, can surprise people. You have to look at three things, I think. The ability to raise and spend money effectively. Can any of these lesser-known candidates come up with some new ideas that might attract some news media attention? And also old-fashioned politicking. Are they able to line up some delegate support, get the 15% at the convention, which will generate more media coverage for them?
So right now it appears on the Democratic side, the front runner is Lamont.
Yes.
And everyone else is way back.
Although I would characterize it as the front runner is undecided at this point.
Right. That's how you start.
But in terms of the actual candidates, yes, Ned Lamont is getting the most support at this point from the Democrats. But again, think of the number. It's only 28% of Democrats who are saying they are going to vote for him. And just like on the Republican side, it's name recognition. It was 2 months ago. It is now. Malloy is not as well known as Ned Lamont. And certainly the other candidates are not nearly as well known as Lamont.
And so the name recognition factor on Foley, you think, is purely because of his television advertising?
Yep. There's nothing else that I could attribute it to. Also, he's also put out some mailings that could help as well.
People say they knew anything about him?
Yes. When we asked Republicans, he gets a good favorability rating. However, about half of Republicans said they don't know enough about him to form an opinion. That's why it's really too early to tell.
Well, thank you, Professor.
Thank you.